Pegasus Podcast, presented by Night Sports Now. UCF news, views, and a few hot takes. Now, here are your hosts, Bailey Go Knights Adams and Christian Charge On Simmons.
Welcome into episode 296. Be sure you're following us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at ByCASimmons, at Night Sports Now, and at Pegasus Podcast. You can also email us at PegasusPodcast@ksn@gmail.com. UCF has won a game in the month of October, and we don't have to carry this thing over into 2026. For the first time in 3 years, UCF wins a game in October, beating West Virginia 45-13, first ever win over West Virginia. Christian just got back from the stadium. I'm here in Tampa. How you doing?
I'm doing better than I would have given what I thought was going to happen at some points during the second quarter. But yeah, I'm doing good. That was a pretty, other than basically 2/3 of a quarter that were a little rough, that was just a complete and total domination of a Big 12 team, which is always nice because of how things have been going for UCF, not just this season, but the last couple seasons. I'm in a good mood. This was a must-win game, and they did exactly what they had to do. They won the game, and the October streak, the dreaded October streak, is finally over.
Yeah, and I think one of the things that I kept telling myself and thinking about, and this was kind of this way I was feeling about UNC back a month ago now, is this was a bad team, but I don't really care. It was more so the fact that UCF did what it needed to do against a bad team. And yeah, there were some weird spotty moments in the second quarter, most of which had to do with UCF's own self-inflicted issues on fourth down and short, not being able to run the ball and giving West Virginia a short field. But other than that, I mean, they dominated. And West Virginia scored a touchdown on a 39-yard field after a missed fourth down conversion, and they scored like a 1-yard drive that went back 20 yards that ended up being just a short touchdown drive because of a Brock Hansel interception.
I was going to say that second touchdown with both teams having their third and fourth string guys on the field. The defense, as far as I'm concerned, the defense earned an honorary shutout today because really not one point was scored that was actually their fault. It was the first team offense putting them in a bad spot and then just a bunch of garbage time nonsense. But yeah, I mean, that's the thing. Like West Virginia, let me just take a moment to say, boy, am I glad I'm not a fan of that school because, good Lord, that team is just horrible. I don't think they're going to win another game this year. But the good news for UCF, and I think a lot of the anxiety for me, as we talked about in our podcast going into this game, was we know that UCF, guys, spoiler, we know UCF's not very good this year. It's a very slapped-together roster. We always understood that was going to be the deal. And I guess they've been competitive even in the games they lost. They almost beat Kansas. Cincinnati was a mess, but they still managed to keep it close. Kansas State, sort of the same situation. What had me so stressed about this game was this was the game where we're finally going to find out. We know what the seller of the Big 12 is. We know it's West Virginia and Oklahoma State. We were going to find out exactly how much ahead or not at all ahead of that UCF is. And the answer was, okay, right. No, UCF's not like them. UCF actually has a competitive roster that can actually hang with teams. And they did exactly what you're supposed to do when you play a team that's a train wreck and that's beat the hell out of them. So it's hard to have a whole lot of complaints other than the offense going cold for a quarter and them once again still just being unable to run the ball, which we're probably going to start to have conversations about, as much as I hate to say it, Miles Montgomery versus Jaden Nixon and who should be getting most of these snaps there at this point. But yeah,
I think that's probably the case. But I think what I realized just now that the first quarterback of any kind that I've mentioned on this podcast episode is Brock Hansel. Yes. The last time we talked to you guys, we were like, oh, they should probably still roll with Cam Fancher. They should, maybe Taven will be available, but Frost said on Monday, we should have all hands on deck. Then the injury report comes out Wednesday night and not even Cam Fancher's not even questionable. He's just listed out from the jump. And you texted me and you were like, what is this? And I said, I don't know.
I pride myself on doing what I can to try to keep this podcast pretty informed, however we can, so that things don't catch us off guard. And I hope it doesn't sound like puffing myself up because I'm not like some mega insider here, but it's kind of rare at this point for something to completely catch us off guard. I don't have the first goddamn clue. I don't know and I think that was a lot of people. That was such a shock when the injury report drops and Cam is just not going to play, totally out. After we spent how much of our pregame podcast or our podcast earlier this week did we spend debating whether it should be Taven or Cam, and kind of landed on it should probably be Cam. And then it's just actually surprised it's going to be Taven. And honestly, for all those conversations we had about why it should be Cam, and a lot of those totally fair were, those points I made them. But I do feel like Taven kind of reminded us today why he is the starter because even if Cam had been healthy, I mean, Taven had a really, really, really solid day today, including a couple just really gorgeous throws.
Yeah, I mean, that's how they got it started. They got it started with two fourth down touchdowns, one of which was actually both of them were to Chris Domercant. One of them was a 40-yarder, the other one was a 34-yarder on fourth and short. The first one was especially funny because it was a fourth and short, and Taven easily had the first down if he ran. He's rolling out, and I'm like, dude, just run. It's right there. And then I see him launch the ball down the field, and obviously it was a good enough throw to get to Domercant. And I don't know, this wide receiver core continues to amaze me in some ways, where it's just like, it's what we've been talking about when I keep saying, like, they don't have a wide receiver one, but they have like 8 wide receiver twos. So that's what it feels like. And
I think that's accurate. Marcus Burke had one of like the best catches of all of college football at one point early in the game. It was just like cool, and they kept going. Yeah. No, the wide receiver room, it's funny. We talked about so many times this offseason, we talked about how my concern was I thought some guys would emerge. I just didn't think they would get to 3 guys who could show they were starting level players. And to your point, no one's emerged as like, oh, they're the guy. It's just they all do enough that they all get in there and all have an impact when they're on the field. So it's worked. Like wide receiver has not been. And honestly, thank God, because with where the run game's at, if that hadn't happened and that wide receiver room hadn't worked out that way, then it would have been, I mean, I really don't know what the offense would have done. And honestly, that's credit to the staff, because this wide receiver room is that where all these guys were talking about DJ Black, Dwayne Thomas, Marcus Burke, Chris Domercant. None of these guys were here last year. All of those guys are guys they went in the portal and had to go find. Like that's huge that they were able to, like, I really don't think that, and we'll talk about it more as the season goes along, I'm sure, and probably once the season's over, we can do a little more of a retro, but like the hit rate in the portal that this staff had is nuts. And that's the only reason we're talking about, oh yeah, they're 4-3. They have a winning record right now and can try to get to a bowl. It's been very, very impressive, their hit rate in the portal. It's been far beyond what Gus did or what a lot of coaches have done.
One of my favorite things to do, like after games nowadays, it seems like, is go to the box score and count how many guys caught passes. This week it was 12. And obviously some of that was it got into garbage time and there were a lot of different guys in there. But if I read you this list of names, it's transfers. Chris Domercant, Caleb Rawlerson he got a couple in there late. Dwayne Thomas Jr., Waden Charles obviously is a freshman. Dylan Wade's a transfer. Marcus Burke's a transfer. Carl Jenkins Jr. is a freshman. Tyler Wren caught a pass late. Miles Montgomery, Kylan Fox, Jaden Nixon, DJ Black. So that's 12 different guys, and I think 8 or 9 of them were new additions from the portal this year.
Yeah.
That's just bizarre stuff. And yeah, I mean, Taven had himself a good day. 23 of 34, 277 yards, those 2 early touchdown passes. He threw a bad pick at one point, which was really annoying. But I was happy. Like I was just watching it throughout the whole game, and I was just, especially when they came out in the third quarter and scored to make it 21-7, give me some breathing room. I was like, all right, feeling better. And then they had the defensive touchdown that kind of took things from there, where it was like I can just coast and then enjoy the second half of UCF actually just dominating another Big 12 team.
I called the game at 21-7.
That's good.
I swear to God, I did. The whole second quarter, I was so pissed because I'm just like, I'm not asking for like the sky to open up and for UCF to run up. I'm like, they just need to go up 2 scores. And this West Virginia team is too broken to do anything about it. And literally they went 21-7. I was like, cool. And then he had the defense. It's nice to see the defense finally picking up the slack, by the way, and not only being a great defense, but now scoring. I'm glad that they finally picked up on the hint that they needed to start doing that. So that was pretty cool.
We talked about it last week at this time on the post-game podcast. We were like, the defense, you can't blame the defense for anything other than maybe like they need to start getting some takeaways and scoring because the offense is so broken. But I mean, when you're playing an opponent like this, the offense was able to do what it did, and the defense getting that touchdown when they did obviously helped kind of just put things to bed there. But yeah, I mean, for it to be, I was thinking about this too, like how many non-space games, I don't know, it's only been a few years, but like the only Big 12 blowouts that UCF has been on the better side of have been space games until today, right? I was looking at it and I think that's right. The case.
I have to say really quickly, I'm laughing. Ryan Minks left a comment saying game was over at 28-7. And I was kind of about to be snarky and be like, well, obviously it was over at 28-7. And then I remembered how UCF blew a 35-7 game 2 years ago and thought maybe I should check myself there. But Yeah, this is UCF's been the blowouts have come via space game. I mean, there have been a couple like Houston in 2023 that wasn't really a blowout, but it wasn't.
Yeah, it was like
this is the first.
Yeah.
No, this is the first time that UCF has annihilated a Big 12 opponent, and they were not powered by the magic of space. So I think that's a good thing for the team for sure. But can I really quickly? I want to make a point, and I don't know how long-winded I'm going to get when I say this. So like, I don't know. I might talk for a second here, but I really want to make this point because. It's true. It is a podcast. I know, but sometimes I forget that it's our podcast and I need to shut the hell up sometimes.
Whatever. You're the draw.
Bailey, I just put up 9 comments. Everyone's obsessed with your outfit and how
listen.
A, your outfit, and B, how you're doing following LSU.
That's the thing is you're putting up all these comments. They're talking about my LSU fandom. Like that has nothing to do with them actually liking me.
Brian Peterson, according to his comment, is interested in the magic of golf right now. I know he meant gold. I know he meant gold, but I'm being mean by putting. He corrected himself, and I'm not going to put up the correction. Brian Peterson, big fan of golf. Anyway,
I went golfing after the game last week. I was like, "Is that a callback? Is it a weird callback?" They're 1-0 since I went golfing.
I did want to make this point because I think it's important. Is that there have been so many parallels drawn, mostly by us, throughout the offseason between UCF and West Virginia because the situations are so similar. It is a team that is bad, has fired their coach. And they're going to their old coach that everyone loves to come back into the program and try to get things going again. And by any metric you want to use, West Virginia was in better position to execute on that than UCF was. They got Rich Rodriguez, who was a sitting head coach, who was at Jacksonville State and was having success there. West Virginia is a program that has more money than UCF, significantly more money. They're one of the more better funded teams in the conference that they could throw towards the portal and trying to get things going under Rich Rod. And since he was a sitting head coach, he was able to bring in multiple players from Jacksonville State, guys who were starting there, could come in and contribute right away to get things started early. We talked a lot about one of the biggest downsides of hiring Frost was since he's been out of college football, he couldn't bring anybody with him. Well, for all those advantages, here we are. Like, guys, if at 4-3 you're disappointed or you wish things were better or going faster, like, I don't know, West Virginia, that's how bad things could have gotten. That's what happens when you dissolve your roster because you fire your coach and you're bringing someone else new. And I'm not saying they're not going to get going under Rich Rod, but I mean, can you imagine if that's the season we were having right now, is just watching this awful team just get beat up on over and over and over, and just for them to meet on the field head to head today. And when Scott Frost did not have a lot of the advantages, did not have the same financial resources that Rich Rod walked into, had to go mine the portal for everybody. There were no relationships to be had there. It was, we got to go find these guys on our own. And to not just build a team that's better than West Virginia, but good enough to just like clearly worlds ahead of where West Virginia is at right now. That's really huge. And I just wanted to give props to Frost and the staff for that. Like, this is, UCF obviously is not there yet. Like, this is year 0. This isn't even year 1. Like, this was just, we got Frost, and after signing day, we got to throw our roster together. But for this team to be more than halfway through the season and have a winning record and in position to try to get to a bowl here with a couple more wins, that is, I hope fans understand how impressive of a first outing that is. And I'm really, one of Frost's big claims to fame when he was here the first time was they just knew how to find guys. Like, the portal wasn't a thing back then, but they would just go find these high school guys who were not heavily recruited, like your Richie Grants, your Gabe Davises, whoever, who weren't highly rated, didn't have a big spotlight on them. They ended up being awesome. And to see them hit the portal in one cycle under Frost, and I know this is a new staff, but like kind of show that's still a thing and get all these guys who like weren't big targets and didn't necessarily require a lot of money, and you get them in and they're playing well, and you've actually put together a solid like mid-level team. It's impressive, man.
It is. And because there's obviously from the week to week where it's like we were frustrated with what we watched last week because it's not fun to watch. But I caught myself earlier. I'm thinking they're 4-3, and is there a single result this year that went the way that you went the opposite way of what you thought? Like when you were looking at the schedule before the season.
Yes.
Through 7 games, I mean, we probably thought they would beat Cincinnati, but we didn't know Cincinnati was going to maybe actually be good.
I was going to say I didn't think Jacksonville State was going to be a real game.
Well, yeah, but they won the game. They won the game.
I said to say really quickly, Mike brings up a good point. The next 5 games are worth $5.25 million for Frost. This team is going to play their asses off. The clause we discussed is in play here. If Frost makes a bowl this year, he gets another year on his contract. I don't think anyone's going to be upset by that. I still think it's unhinged that that's in the contract. But
yeah. And to further your point, and we don't have to spend a lot of time on this, but I've been thinking about this quite a bit, and I was talking to JP Gilbert about it earlier today. But the story you sent me earlier this week about Ole Miss quarterback Trinidad Chambliss, where Scott Frost called and was wanting to offer him if he was going to hit the portal, and that was was a story that came out this week. And obviously he didn't do that. He didn't want to leave his Ferris State. he didn't want to leave there yet. And then the spring came and some other teams came calling, and he ended up at Ole Miss, and now he's doing really well.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you don't know who Trinidad Chambliss is, he's a freaking awesome quarterback at Ole Miss. And ESPN wrote a story on him that because he entered the portal for spring, and the story had that by the way, I like how the story basically acknowledged tampering. Like, that's what that is.
Yeah.
I just don't think anyone cares about that anymore. They acknowledged that before spring in December, this is a D2 quarterback at Ferris State, and that he got a couple of FBS schools sniffing around to see if he might hit the portal, most notably Georgia State and UCF, asking if he'd be interested in coming over. And he said no at the time. Then in spring, more schools started to catch on. But like, that's what we're talking about. Like, Frost still having that edge. Like, they were first on Trinidad Chambliss. Like, yeah, it's too bad he didn't want to move for them, but still, like, that's, I don't know what is going on with Scott Frost or who on his staff it is or whatever, where they just seem to have a knack for that. But that was important in 2016 and 2017. In the NIL era and the portal era, it is more important than ever before. The coaches and the staffs that can find the guys who are not the guys that everyone's just throwing $1 million at, that is such a huge advantage. And they just seem to kind of know how to do that. It's crazy. Especially,
as you mentioned, like in the NIL, like with their current strategy of not wanting to spend a lot of money on high school recruits. Yeah. I think part of that strategy is Frost and his staff just betting on themselves to be like, yeah, we don't have to spend a lot of money because we're going to find these gems, which is a scary bet in some senses, but the track record is there where you can be like, whoa, like they might be able to do it. So, I mean, I think that's something.
And the thing is, it's more than just like, it was very important for this season because it was about just putting together a roster, because the whole thing dissolved when Gus was not fired. He was not fired when Gus left.
I keep forgetting that.
Well, it's just so in my head. It's like, obviously, guys, UCF was going to fire him if he didn't leave. But it's like, so he's gone, whatever. The whole thing here is, it's valuable for this season, but they also found a lot of these guys with like multiple years of eligibility. And like, we're pending another portal window, but like Dwayne Thomas could be back next year. Dylan Wade could be back next year. Like, there's a lot of weapons and guys who've been really solid this season and the hope is, since they're not investing a ton in high school, they will have the retention money necessary to keep those guys. So I just think that it really is valuable. And I'm very encouraged by this first portal wave under Frost, or whatever you want to call it. And also, while the high school class isn't rated well and it's pretty small, he's kind of earned the benefit of the doubt at this point. Like, if we're 2 years down the road, it turns out a lot of those guys were under-recruited gems who turned into really good players, I'm not going to be shocked here, So it's been really solid. And I don't want to go, like, I don't want to just flip and be like, oh, now it's all sunshine and rainbows again because they won a game. Like, the team still has very real problems. They cannot run the ball. Owen Spell did pretty solid, actually, by the way, stepping in for Paul Rubel, which was kind of a surprise because that is not what I would have said about him last week. But I really, mistakes are going to happen. I really hated, like, they won, so it's fine. But like the decision-making to go for it on that second, fourth down, instead of take the field goal to go up 2 scores, like, had me wanting to bash my head in against the table. You have to accept at some point you can't get a yard. But on the whole, 7 games in to Scott Frost 2.0, it's going a bit better than I would have expected, is pretty much
it. And it's not sunshine and rainbows, but like we mentioned on the preview podcast, like, we get to kind of act like it is over the next like week or so, because UCF has a bye week next week. So like we go into this next week where it's like UCF can't lose this weekend. UCF's 4-3, and they've got to find these 2 more wins to get to a bowl.
What's going on in Baylor right now, by the way? Speaking of,
it was delayed. It was delayed the last time I looked, like an hour ago. So I don't know if they've actually finally finished that game up. I could try to look it up, but
because I will tell you, do we want to? Should we become negative now? Now that UCF's won a game, 45-13, should we start being negative?
TCU's up 42-27 with 3:15 left on Baylor.
That's gonna make some UCF fans think bad things, but I think the thing, like, not to take us down a little bit, but if the goal is to make a bowl game, which it is, guys, surprise, that's the goal. The thing that still freaks me out a little bit is I'm very confident. I'm 99% sure UCF's going to beat Oklahoma State. So there's win 5. I'm still having a hard time now figuring out where win 6 comes from, because I've been believing, perhaps you might say coping on the idea that it was going to be the space game against Houston. And I just, this, I don't know how much we've done on the podcast. Houston wins a game every week and you tell me, and I'm just like, I don't care. I think they're bad. I think we reached the point where I just have to acknowledge that Houston is probably not bad.
I told you today that they were beating Arizona and you were like, yeah, I think they might be good. And I was like, oh, I thought you were just going to keep like doubling and tripling down, but
to be fair, they've played some really bad teams and not even played well against them, but whatever. Now they're 2-1 in conference.
I very much think UCF can win that game.
I don't think it's anything like they can't. I don't think that
Yeah.
at all. I think they absolutely can win that game. I think they can win Oklahoma State. I think they might, like Baylor, like all of those are cans. Just all of them are also games where I don't think like UCF will, like, well, Oklahoma State's different, but like at Baylor, Houston, at Texas Tech, and at BYU, they only go to a bowl if they win one of those games. And just I don't think UCF's going to be favored in any of them at this point. And the thing we've seen about UCF so far this year is they're competitive, so it's not like they can't, but they also haven't overachieved yet, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like they've pretty much just been what they are. So to get to a bowl, you're going to have to overachieve somewhere. And I'm not saying they can't, but they're
kind of like what I said earlier. It's like they've beaten the teams you would expect them to beat, and they've lost the games that you would have expected, get going in. And I've been trying to sell myself on like maybe they'll just steal like one that we're just not expecting at all. I don't know. If that's
what is that? It's Baylor. That's the only one that fits.
Yeah, that's the one I was telling myself earlier. Was like, okay, if they can go and beat Baylor, I will feel so much better because they would be 5-3 and they'd have to win Oklahoma State. And then even if they win, they also win the space game. And they're not going to 7-5 season. But
yeah, the only one that I'm not like everyone just needs to like understand is I don't think they are remotely capable of beating Texas Tech.
Texas Tech
is down right now.
Are they?
They're down 9-7 in the first half, as they're coming up on halftime to Arizona State.
Arizona State's kind of good.
So I don't know, but I'm telling you right now, Arizona State
gave me a look there.
Annihilated last week.
Yeah, they're fine.
Okay. I don't know if Sam Levitt's playing because he missed last week and they got destroyed.
Oh, okay. Well,
he's back. Okay, that's probably why they're back to being good. Okay. Don't you guys love the live episodes? I'm trying to not do the thing because I understand while many of you are listening live, welcome everybody, that many more of you are going to listen like into a recorded version. So I probably shouldn't be like live checking scores and talking about things you already know the outcomes of. But
I didn't think about that at all.
Yeah. But so either way, I just, guys, wrap your heads around now. Texas Tech is not a winnable game. Get that out of your heads.
Well, that's what I was going to say. I wanted to say, like, I almost really just want to take that week off. Just like we're not doing a post-game podcast.
If it's not a night game, I will not be available for the post-game podcast.
I know,
and you may have to sub in birthday boy Brian Peterson. So like we'll have to see what happens there. Maybe you'll just call in and be like, "No, I don't want to do this." I don't think you should though, but I won't be able to say.
It'd be funny if like you're kind of like on a plane or whatever, and you like text me like once you land, you're like, "Hey, how'd the post-game pod go?" I'm like, yeah, we didn't do one.
I can't overstate.
Called in sick.
What I would feel in that moment if the plane land. By the way, gonna have internet on the plane, so like I'll know. Like I'm gonna be watching the Texas Tech game, but I
called in sick. Didn't do it.
Nike Sneeze says Bailey by himself talking about UCF's 52-7 upset over Texas Tech. That's a score. It's not that could be the final score of that game. Just don't think. I think he might have the team's little flip there, but.
So we've talked a lot about like big picture. Do we want to go back to the game at all or no?
I don't know. I mean, sure, we can talk
I
about
just want to give more credit to the defense just because.
Okay.
I mean, I know
there's someone I'd like to give credit to as well, but we can do the defense first.
West Virginia's offense is bad, and their quarterbacks were bad.
Yes.
But still, like, I just don't – I don't know. I've run out of, like, I guess I want to give the defense credit, but I don't even know what to say about them. Like, they just completely shut them down. And like I said, those 13 points, like, the last 6 – should have never happened. Yep. And then the other one was like, not only did West Virginia have a short field, but that's when they inserted a new quarterback because the quarterback that started the game was a freshman and was in over his head. And UCF sacked him, I think, 4 times in the first 2 drives or 3 drives. So the pass rush has been good. They've been able to stop the run. They've made plays in the secondary. Like, I don't know. It's just I'm very happy with a defense that we knew was talented and we knew would probably be the better of the 2 sides, but there was always that kind of feeling where we were like, well, I don't know. People say a lot of bad things about Alex Grinch, and I don't know how to feel about that hire because it doesn't feel justifiable. So far, I can't say anything bad about what Alex Grinch is doing.
Yeah, now Nike Sneeze is pissing me off to go back to him because he says Alex Grinch apology podcast when I apologized to him like 2 podcasts ago.
Yeah.
What do you want from me? We're not going to do a weekly Alex Grinch apology.
We can do a segment. We
We just change tweet of the week to Alex Grinch apology. We just end each podcast at apology.
We're sorry, Alex Grinch.
I think one thing that's also impressive about the defense too on that note is, like I said, it's part of me that as much as I love the defense this year, I get a little frustrated sometimes because I'm like, man, if we could just have this defense next year when the offense is a little more put together, it could be crazy. But one, it's that there's playmakers at every level. There's not really any kind of clear weak point in this defense. Everyone's good. They've also, at this point, they're showing their depth because they're getting hit with some pretty notable injuries, like all the way back from like Jaden Williams to like they've lost Horace Lockett. Now, Sincere Edwards was not playing today and posted that he's had surgery, so I don't know what's going on there. Obviously, it's like having pretty significant losses and just still rolling anyway is really impressive. And you're right, they're playing a bad team. West Virginia's offense is really bad. They do not have a quarterback. They make the 2024 UCF quarterback situation look like a walk through a lovely park. They're that level of bad. But the great thing about this defense is they're doing exactly what you're supposed to do when you're playing an offense that's that bad. And that's just completely disrupt everything they're trying to do and shut them down across the board. Hey, Bailey, is 6 sacks good for one game? Is that solid? Yeah, I think so.
The Bucs did it last Sunday too, and I was like, I didn't know teams could do this, and it's just, I don't know. It's a lot of fun, and I think for me, it's the overall body of work so far. Like we talk about, yes, this is a bad offense they played, and they dominated a bad offense, but it's pretty much not bottling up, but limiting Brendan Sorsby in the Cincinnati offense last week. It's what they were. I mean, they had their issues here and there with Jalen Daniels, but he didn't completely dominate that game. And then, I don't know, the overall body of work of this defense has impressed me. And it's just nice to watch given some of the defenses we've seen over the last, 5 or 6 seasons, probably dating all the way back to 2020, 2019.
By the way, really quickly, UCF football just tweeted, it's like they're listening. Actually, it was 7 sacks, not 6.
Oh, okay.
And that's the most for UCF in a game in 18 years. So
right.
I believe that's good.
Yeah.
And Mike, I've lost the comment now, so I can't put it up. Mike made a good point that, I'm talking about I wish we had this defense last year, that a lot of the defense could come back. I just want to read it really quickly. Here are the guys on defense who are playing who could technically come back next year. John Walker, Horace Lockett, RJ Jackson, Sincere Edwards, Isaiah Nixon, Lewis Carter, Braden Marshall, Damari Henderson, Antoine Jackson, Jade Bellamy. All those guys, and there's more who just aren't playing as much right now. But and again, the portal era, I find it unlikely that every name I just read will be back. But if you can get most of them back and then supplement through the portal, could be pretty nasty. Could be pretty nasty.
Yeah. Before I talked about the defense, what were you said you wanted to give somebody else credit. What was that?
Yes, I want to give our esteemed kicker, Noe Ruelas, some credit.
Oh, yeah.
I feel like there's this funny thing about being a college football fan, and UCF fans are guilty of it, and pretty much every college football fan base is guilty of it, is that if you don't have a kicker and your kicker isn't very good, it is just mind-numbingly awful. And it is one of the focal points of the things you discuss, and it is infuriating, and it makes you want to scream, and it makes games unwatchable. And it's so just like limits what you can do in such a horrible way. Like there's nothing more frustrating than like you being stopped on 4th down at like the 29 or something and being like, yeah, that's bad. Like can't do anything here. It's so infuriating. Then once you have a good kicker, it's just like, oh, nice. And like no one talks about it. Noe Ruelas has been awesome. And even today, like it wasn't even an important kick by any means. Just shows up and just casually drills a 51-yarder. Like coming down the stretch here when UCF needs to steal a game somewhere to get to a bowl, knowing that you have that, where if you can just get generally in field goal range, he's probably going to be able to get you 3 points, particularly with the run game issues UCF has. That's freaking huge. Like, I mean, he has been another great portal pickup for UCF, by the way. Like he just been an awesome addition. And I really think he's going to be key in this second half of the season.
Yeah, I think I'm worried for whatever the next attempt is going to be, because on the broadcast they were like, after he made the 51-yarder, they were like, that's 10 straight makes for Noe Ruelas. And I was like, I mean, I know we have to because that's their job, but it's like people need to stop with kickers and streaks. Like I don't know. It's one of my dumb what's it called? Pet peeves of being, what's the word I'm looking for? Superstitious. There you go.
Okay.
My God.
I feel like if I was an announcer, I'd go out of my way to do it constantly. Like get really be like he has never missed a kick from a range this short. It's never ever happened. If it were to happen now, it would be a shock. It would be stunning. Like I love when the announcers get really good. Speaking of announcers, I was obviously at the game, like in person, but everyone was just like raving about the TNT broadcast. Like I feel like I saw like 50 people tweeting about that, which is kind of interesting.
I enjoyed it a lot. Obviously, we talked about it on the podcast earlier this week. I didn't make the trip today because I did the Alzheimer's walk with my family this morning, and we got back and I sat down on my couch at 12:59 for the 1:00 kick. Like I was sitting down, and then not even 20 seconds later was the kickoff. And I don't know. I feel like I find myself being very critical of announced teams and just broadcast presentations and stuff. It's just, I watch a lot of football, and this one, like, very rarely, like, sometimes I'm like, this sucks. And other times I won't really like notice one way or the other, which I guess can be a good thing. This one I was like actually noticing how enjoyable it was. Like, they actually did their prep. They knew a lot on both sides. They were saying things that I was like, you don't just get that from like just a prep sheet, like whatever they hand you. And I found the announce team enjoyable. I found the presentation good. They had a halftime show. They had a post-game show, which I wasn't able to watch really, but they actually had a post-game show. I enjoyed it. I don't know. I guess I've probably second screened a TNT broadcast at some point this season, but I actually really enjoyed it and would like for all the games to be on TNT from now on.
Well, I do think, because you made a good point that, like, we watch, like, you and me specifically, we watch a lot of football. You more so than me, I guess, because I don't watch NFL at all. But then again, I don't know. I can't help but notice that you weren't really responding to any of my texts this week as I was watching the Conference USA weeknight game. So I have to feel like you probably weren't watching those. So I think I'm just more of a fan than you. But you do. What did you say?
So what night was that? I'm trying to.
There's a couple nights this week.
Yeah.
But anyway, all that's me saying, we watch a lot of football. I don't ever want to like criticize people trying to do their jobs, but I do feel like ESPN in particular, all the way up from main ESPN down through ESPN2, ESPNU, that whole family of networks, it just feels like it's gotten lazy. And I don't blame the individual announcers. I'm thinking it's presumably more on the ESPN side of things and the amount of resources they're putting in production. But like, broadcasts just kind of suck now. And like honestly, across the board, they just kind of suck. And I think fans just kind of have to put up with that. It is what it is. So like, hearing all these fans like, it's like being in a desert for years and being given a bottle of water. Like, they're just like, oh my God, like they know things about the teams and they're informed and they're not saying dumb stuff and they're not confused during the game. I think that's pretty cool. So shout out to the Big 12 for having a good network relationship there. There
was a reference to the UCF Fastcast, which that might be on the prep sheet they gave them, but they were talking about Jaden and Miles. They're like, oh, that's going to be a must listen this week. And then, they just had some things. They were talking about Spirit Splash. The sideline reporter had a couple interesting reports. Like, it was very much an all around, like, I don't remember the last time I enjoyed a broadcast like that. And because I was going to say, back when there was the time when RG3 did Spirit Splash, I was obviously at that game. So I don't even remember. I think I went back and watched the broadcast and I thought he was really good on that broadcast. Since then, kind of gotten tired of him. But back then I was like, wow, Ben, they're really good. This time, like, this is the first time I've watched a broadcast in a while where I came away and I was like, more games on TNT, please, and less FS1, less ESPN2.
Definitely a statement you thought you'd say. I want to bring up this point that Default brought up because I do think it's a good point. That he said not once did they talk about another top 25 game. It was clear the halftime team actually watched the game and had analysis. That is a huge, huge, huge pet peeve I have with ESPN and Fox is they go out of their way to make sure they're talking about games that are not the game you're watching. And it's both during the actual broadcast, then the halftime show just ignores the game you're watching. Like and that's not as much like, that's the thing for UCF games. It really bothers me when I'm watching like G5 games or lower power 4 games. Like, the game ends and he goes, now to the halftime show. And it's like, well, Ohio State's playing right now. And I'm like, okay. And if I wanted to watch that, I'd be on the Ohio State game, but I'm not. I'm here. Like, I don't know. It just really bothers the hell out of me. But so shout out to TNT.
So I think that's the thing is we've apologized to Alex Grinch. I think I actually need to straight up apologize to TNT because I was angry at them earlier this week for the 1:00 kickoff and was just like, why are we have a game on TNT? This is dumb.
Not only the 1:00 kickoff, we're like, how dumb is that to kick at 1 instead of noon? And what they did from 12 to 1 was run like a feature on UCF that they made.
Which I'm really annoyed. They showed a clip of it during the game, and it was like the offensive linemen were at Topgolf, I believe, or Drive Shot, whatever, one of them, and they were talking about the impact that Sean Clark had on them. And they were like, oh, yeah, once again, like that was a clip from our All Access. And I was like, thanks for showing me that just to remind me that I didn't record it because
I'm sure it's going to be.
You can find it somewhere, right?
Yeah, there's no way they're not going to post that online. I'm sure we can.
You'd think so. So, I don't know. I really enjoyed it.
Are there any
uniforms?
Other major? Okay, I was going to say, is there anything else or can we talk about the uniforms now?
Uniforms. And then I have something else after uniforms.
Okay. So. What?
This is a shock look on your face. It's nothing worrying. It's just another shout out. You know who it is.
I thought I would have finished uniforms. You're going to be like, that was great. I'm not going to announce that I'm resigning from the podcast. I want to go out on a high.
Not after the uniforms they wore today. Those were great.
So some people, as you, if you've listened to this podcast for any stretch of time, if you follow me on Twitter for any stretch of time, you know I'm a big uniform guy. You know that some people, some mean people, like to make a little bit of fun of me for this. Some people have gone so far as to say that, oh, he just says that every uniform they wear is the best uniform ever. So I understand this comment may only fan those flames, but I do want to be clear that this was not hyperbole. This was the best uniform UCF's ever worn, was the one they wore today. And everyone can have opinions, and if you disagree with that, that's fine. You're just simply incorrect. Gold, black, that combo, gold helmet, black jersey, black pants. That is the quintessential UCF combo. I really, and I think a lot of fans feel that way, that is the look, which is funny because it historically has not been a look the team wore. I mean, they really never wore it. And then it became an option again in 2016. This was the first time they wore it under Frost. They didn't wear it in 2016 or 2017. Why would I doubt myself? No, they didn't. And I just think it's interesting how they've worn it. It's ticked up a little bit how often they've worn it in the years since 2018. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was 2018 College Game Day was the first time we saw a version of it. They've worn a few different versions of it in the years since. This version blows the other ones out of the water, and I really wasn't these uniforms. I like these uniforms a lot. I wasn't expecting to be so impacted by the gold, black version, but I realized it was just a lot of different small details come together to make it so awesome. One, it's the gold helmet that my dad's being really mean to me. My dad, Roger Simmons, just left a comment saying the best uniform UCF has ever worn. Then he put in parentheses this week.
I will get real quick before you get back to that. I want to say there are a lot of people that do give you a lot of flack for your uniform opinions and say you say everything. A lot of them, the people closest to you, that was your dad, Trey Stroko, a good friend of the podcast and good friend to you. He's another one of those proponents of Christian has never not liked something that
people are very mean, which is a lie, by the way. We've talked about this repeatedly. It's not my fault that they mostly wear good stuff. I feel like people are so in a bubble, because I think a lot of fans are more UCF fans than college football fans. You should see the crap these other teams are wearing. It really is. But anyway, all that to be said, this gold, black works so well for a couple reasons. One, it's the freaking awesome gold helmet. It's the white stack UCF on the helmet, the white stack instead of the normal one. That they started doing that a few years ago. That makes a big difference. And it's all the very UCF details. As usual, the drop shadow makes a huge difference. That just brings so much gold present through the whole look, from the helmets to the drop shadow numbers to the big Polaris stars pants, the big Polaris stars in the pants. And it's just, there's so many things that UCF touches, the screen printed Pegasus wings, the Polaris stars, all of it, just there's so many UCF parts of this uniform that really bring it together to be so awesome. I really just, it's such a freaking good look. And I don't know what they could come up with the uniform set they have now, or even if they made a different set that would be more on brand and just more freaking awesome than this. It's a great uniform.
That's the thing, is as much as I like the variation, they could wear this look multiple times a year and that be the default look, and I would be very happy with it. I don't know. I've always liked the gold, black, but this version of it, like you said, was, especially with the drop shadow, I think it just makes it kind of
that drop shadow, man. I want to go. I want to go just shake the hand of whoever had the idea of let's add drop shadow to uniforms. Because I'm also kind of surprised they did that, because drop shadow is generally considered kind of a more retro style uniform thing that does not fit, or it shouldn't fit with the UCF, we're the future, we're fast, whatever. But it works so damn well. It has made every single combo better. I mean, I really just this uniform set has been great. There has not been. I'm not out of line saying that, right? There has not been a miss this year on the uniforms. I know you didn't care for the gold pants, but I think most people did.
No, I think it's been good. I still, and I will say this every time we talk about uniforms and their track record of them, I still miss pewter and would like it integrated at some point. I would just like that to be back. But I was just thinking and kind of smiling because I know the next game, obviously they have a bye week and then they're at Baylor. But the next time they're back in the bounce house, they'll be wearing the space uniforms they dropped last week that we talked about at length. It was we're just kind of blessed week by week, where it's we see this true UCF through and through look that we got today at home, and then next time we're back at home, it's that space uniform on a Friday night and a night game. It's gonna be great, and then I'm sure they'll do probably something cool for senior night, and I don't know if it's gonna be a blackout, whatever it is. I don't know. It's good. It's always good. I'm enjoying it.
Good year. We've already had 2 blackouts this year. Do you think they'd do another one? I don't know. We'll have to see.
I don't know. Yeah.
I wouldn't
anything else?
Very opposed. No. Oh, cool. Yes. Wait, yes, you have to do your thing.
Yeah, but what were you going to say?
I was just going to say really quickly, I was very afraid of West Virginia fans taking over the stadium, and that just didn't.
Oh, I was curious about that.
There were still a lot. Like, it was still way more of a road presence than usual, but it was nothing like the 2023 crowd. And I'm assuming that's a mix of West Virginia being really bad right now. And also, I feel like just back then, like, West Virginia had been in a static conference for like years and years, and it was probably just like, ooh, new destination. Like, I feel like the thrill had worn off of.
I almost wonder if the only ones who really showed up today were like the locals. That's what I live in the area. And
I don't want to like downplay West Virginia fans. Like, that's a big fan. There were a lot there. Like, it was a lot more than you would see. Like, if I had to rank the crowds in recent years, it would be like 2023 West Virginia, 2025 West Virginia. But it was nothing like that.
24 Baylor too, though. Or not Baylor, BYU. Sorry.
Oh, I was so confused for a second. Yeah, no, BYU was way more. That was way more than today. I also passed a woman when I was walking the parking garage that was wearing a UCF West Virginia Houses Divided shirt, and I was just like, "What's the story there?"
Do you remember like I don't even know that Twitter account's still active. I think it was one of like the bot ones that.
Oh my god! Yeah,
the random House Divided bot that used to just put the best things together, and we would just send them to each other.
My favorite one that I send you all the time was it was Orlando City, Tampa Bay Lightning, a House Divided, and I just thought it was the funniest thing.
I think that account's gone because I definitely followed it and I haven't seen it in a long time. So
I think when Twitter had its whole little purchase thing, I think they got rid of all the bot accounts, so it's probably gone. But it was a great account.
It was so good. Last thing for me, I just wanted to wish Brian Peterson, good friend of the podcast and occasional fill-in host, a happy birthday. I was sad to have today overlap, like his birthday overlap with the walk this morning, so I couldn't be there to celebrate and enjoy the day with him, and I'm glad they won. I said it on Twitter, and I said it to him yesterday. I'm glad they did the fans' choice for what to wear because he got to wear his gold. They wore gold helmets, and I'm wearing a gold shirt in his honor today. And that's what I wanted to say and in the podcast with. Shout out to Brian.
I just realized I hadn't messaged him, so I just messaged him right now.
I just looked at my phone and saw a message from you, and it was wishing him a happy birthday. But yeah, I don't know. It was one of those things. I was like reflecting on this earlier, and honestly having like a weird moment where I was like, this fan base or like this like the UCF community, and more so like just people I've gotten to know through Twitter / this podcast. It's been really cool. I've gotten to meet people and actually make like friends through it, which I've always feel like I've been told that you don't really make new friends as an adult. And especially when you're me, where like I don't really go out and meet new people. So it's just like, I don't know. I've actually become good friends with Brian. And I'm like, wow, I just did not know him until a few years ago. And now I would consider him a friend. So shout out to Brian.
Happy birthday, Brian. No one brings more passion to anything on this earth than he brings to gold jerseys. Like I respect it so significantly. But yeah, I respect it and I don't, but today I'll respect it for his birthday. When I upload this episode, I'm just going to, instead of calling it, what episode is? I'll have to look it up before I post whatever episode this is. It's just going to be Brian's birthday bash, and it's just going to be UCF beats West Virginia.
People are going to listen to it and be like, when are they going to talk about
it's not referenced at any point.
You said you called him birthday boy like 25 minutes in, and then we did this little segment here. So yeah,
I don't know how to make balloons come down right now, but if I knew how, I would do it.
It'd be fun. Yeah, we wish we could. We should. This has been the birthday music episode that we should have done. We always talk about doing birthday music.
Long-time listeners would remember we used to, because I got confused one episode and I claimed for our 50th episode I was going to do birthday music, and you were like, "But it's not a birthday." But yeah, this would have been the one.
Yeah.
Can I give a birthday gift to Brian right here?
Sure.
Hey, Brian, you get to co-host the Texas Tech postgame episode if I'm not back in time.
If you're not back. I thought you were just going to give up on the idea of hosting it at all and just give it to him. It's just basically
there's no way, because it needs to be like a night game, and also even then, like I'm probably not going to be on that episode. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. The other thing, speaking of birthdays, the whole losing streak in October should tie this up again. Like I thought about the last time they won a game in October, and our podcast was like a year and a half old. No, that is true.
No, yeah. It was a little more than a year and a half old. It was like a year and 3/4 old. That's so stupid.
Yeah, October of 22.
Brian just replied, just sent that he says I should host it from the plane.
So he's just trying to get out of doing
I know we
podcasts
discussed on the podcast before my significant. I like how I tried to give him a gift. He's like trying to re-gift it already. Back to me. Like
back to you.
I am terrified. Like I hate flying. I do it because I like going places. This is a long one too. I'm going to Ireland, so like I really don't think that like this would be the podcast. I'd be like, yeah, it's too bad that UCF didn't win. What was that? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, sorry, it was just turbulence, and that would be the entire episode. So like, I don't think that would be good.
I think people would love it. They would just love to see you looking freaked out. Yeah, I think so.
That would be great. Yeah, that would be
People
awesome.
are sickos like that. But I mean, speaking of sickos, you guys are still here with us 45 minutes into this episode. It is now 6 o'clock. So we'll let you get on with your night. But yeah, always fun. Always enjoy post-game podcasts after a win. I feel like sometimes after a loss, they're almost like funnier and more entertaining because we're just delusional and annoyed and mad. But it is nice to just be able to do one where they win the game very comfortably. And yeah, there were things that went wrong and plenty of things to clean up over the bye week, but we get to go into the bye week at 4-3, 2 wins away from getting to a bowl and adding on to Scott Frost's contract, which we talked about that clause earlier. I don't know. It's a lot of fun. So thank you guys for joining us, especially those of you who joined us live. And obviously those of you who have also joined us after the fact. We will be back this week with another episode with the bye week episode. But until then, you can find us on Twitter at BaileyJAdams22, at @ByCASimmons, at Night Sports Now, and at Pegasus Podcast. Thank you guys so much for being with us. We'll talk to you soon.
Bye, everybody.